All right, all right. Welcome you, loyal listeners, to another episode here of Agency Intelligence. We are giving you the real intelligence and not the artificial that they try to make you believe out there. Here we are with Kelly Donahue-Piro, the lady, the one, the only, I call her the crusader for the person who's not a producer. Let's just put it that way, right? I know you love producers too, but you just are the spokesperson. It just seems like for all the things that CSRs and account managers want to say, but they just can't say, right?
I could get
Um,
behind that.
yeah, you feel me, and that's a proud badge. Kelly, let's get right into this. I spoke to you the other day on the phone. You said, Jason, I have this thought, and this is my belief for 2025. I said, lay it on me. I had goosebumps after 2 to 3 minutes because it hit me as an agency owner. Tell the listeners exactly what you said. Let's break it down.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. So, I think 2025 is going to be the year that we start to exit this hard market. And by the way, every state might be different. So, I don't want
True that.
anybody like nailing me, but like she said, um, but basically, we're going to start exiting. And that's going to mean I think agents are comfortably numb right now with the hard market, right? We've sort of
Mm.
mastered it. There is no markets, there's no remarketing, rates are going up. We've sort of gotten into the groundhog day of it. But next year, as the markets open, what you're going to find is rates will stabilize. So, first off, agencies need a plan to grow. You will not get the luxury of growth from rate increases as much next year. So,
Mm-hmm.
if were enjoying this and you want to keep it, now is the time to build a plan. Second, you're going to find that your clients have hung on like that cat in that poster, like just hang in there for 3 years. And they go out and shop right now. They don't find anything better or dramatically different, right?
True, true.
So next year they're going to. They're going to start seeing pockets of opening. And if you're not proactively reaching out to your clients through proactive renewal reviews, you're going to see your retention tank. So we have the first layer,
Mm,
we're not going to grow by rate. Second layer,
mm,
I can start shrinking my PIF count and my retention and possibly the premium if I'm not proactive. And the third thing is you need to staff up to deal with this
mm.
because your team right now is burned out. They're crispy, right? Like, you see it on everybody's faces. Account managers are sweethearts. They want to love people, and they've had to deliver bad news for 3 years. And I mean, we had somebody at an agency just leave to go work at the post office. I was like, the
Wow.
post office, like I can't think of a more soul sucking place, but okay, like,
Right, I agree. I
right?
agree.
So you need to work on the culture of your agency and your team and clarity and be a great leader and tell your team, like, this is where we need to be and this is what you're going to focus on and staff up so you can take those new business opportunities and convert and hold your retention strong. So the agencies that we work with are well positioned to not just survive, but thrive and hit
Mm.
explosiveness next year. While these other agencies that don't have a plan, I think are really going to be on the struggle bus.
Let's break that down. What does that staffing look like? Immediately, people think, "Oh, I got to go hire a licensed person and spend 80 to $100,000, or wherever you are in America." What do you think on that, Kelly?
Well, can you find them? Like that's the first step, right? Can you
Good
find them?
reply.
So when we look at the staffing component, we look at Reagan best practices and what is your target revenue per team member. And so many agencies come to us, everybody's busy, everybody's burned out, but they're not even hitting 70% of the best practices revenue per team member, which means a couple things to me. One, you have licensed people doing unlicensed work. And I know by your business ventures, Jason, this is something you believe in with virtual
I
assistants.
do. I do.
So we need to scale your team. And by the way, I don't care if they don't want to use them. Like it's your agency, buckle up,
True.
like boss up. You
Hmm.
also can't have a bunch of crispy people sitting there quiet quitting all day long and being grumpy. Like those are the Eeyores in the agency that draw everybody else down. And
Hmm.
you're the leader, you're the owner. You have to deal with this. So I love it when people say, like, I'm going to ask my staff if I should do this. Why? Like,
Good point. Very good
you
point.
know,
Loyal
like
listeners, right? Check that one.
why? Like I can understand maybe at the tail end, but at the end of the day, you own the place. It's your name on the door, or you're signing paychecks. Like that's great, but my company, if I make the decision, that's what we're doing. And I don't need everybody's support. Like At that point, I'm more of a leader, a team leader than an agency owner. So they have to scale up. So you have to find people. And here's the other half, Jason, right? You need to go down the virtual assistant path or entry level positions, whatever that means for you. We
Hmm.
then have to look at our current team and identify skill set gaps. Can they sell? Are they good at sales? We do secret shopper calls. 33% of my shoppers don't get a quote like after 2 weeks. So that's bad, right?
God,
Like, and
terrible.
then we get the quotes emailed. They don't have a sales process. So you're going to practice quote, which is going to be inefficient. And then we also have to look at what are your service standards? Could we run off the bottom 10% of our book by
Mm,
just giving clear
mm,
direction? Like
mm.
these people suck our time, they're time vampires. Donate them to your competition, right? Get them off your book so your team can level up. And instead of, having one policy that's $1,000, they could replace it with a $2,000 policy, less work, more growth, less headaches, all is well in
Yes.
the Western world. But that takes a leader, right? Coming in with a plan and saying, nope. If that person calls in with no prior insurance, we're going to tell them it's going to take 2 weeks to get them a quote and watch how fast they go away. And you
So
don't.
that's kind of like analyzing the agency. Seems like I will cheat here. Step one is what you're doing here.
Yes.
So analyzing the agency, you rolled right into that because it's just natural. That this is where you got to start. Love it.
Yeah, so we have the strategic planning workbook that Jason's referencing that walks you through how to build a plan for next year. And the
Mm.
step one is where are we at now? You got to look at your numbers. How many agencies don't know their metrics? They look at their P&L every month and that's about it, right? Or their bank account even. That's how much cash I have.
You know what though? It's looking at the right numbers. My accountant says, "What numbers do you want to see, Kelly?" A lot of times I just don't know the numbers, so I could see that this will be helpful here. Yes.
Yeah, and we'll give you the reports to run, and we have guides for miscellaneous management systems on how to get them. And by the way,
Hmm.
if their numbers are like, well, they're never right, that should be a project for next year. We're in 2025.
Right.
No longer is it acceptable for you to give the excuse that my numbers in my management system aren't right. Make them
Hmm.
right. They can be right.
Hmm.
You have to dedicate the right process and procedure and audit people and look at them. They're not magically going to be right because you put it out in the universe. You have to put the legwork behind it. So, a step you might have in your plan this year is to get your freaking numbers right.
Hmm. And it's something we all want to do, Kelly. I think there's more that want to do it. Like I said, it's just trying to figure out what they are, and with you helping us with the reports, that's going to be huge.
Well, and I think then it's, you have to spend some time with your management system. And by the way, guys, all of you spend a lot of money on that.
Hmm.
And these aren't going away. They're just getting more and more integrated into our agency. So we have to spend the time learning it. Like you wouldn't just go pick up a new carrier and not watch how to quote. We pick up management systems and have no idea what to do.
Kelly, can I give a stop? Let's give a shout out real quick. Kelly told me, she says, Jason, I don't think you really need an agenda because you have the gift of gab, her exact words. And she's right. So none of this is planned. But Kelly, I reached out to you about 3-4 months ago and I said, Kelly, I want to take control of our AMS system, AMS 360. You put me with Angela Adams Consulting. They have been absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to be honest. If you want quality, you're gonna pay for quality. They weren't the most expensive, but I'm telling you right now, my staff is delightful. I mean, we're mastering the accounting portion of it, being
Yeah.
able to bring the general fund and the accounting of the metrics of the agency together. It has been fantastic. They have a whole service department that taught us, and then a different accounting department that worked with our team. Once again, I'm not paid for that, but when we come to managing and figuring out your agency management, this was one of the reasons why we had to do it. So, and thank you, Kelly, for that because that was fantastic. So,
Yeah, and it's just time. It's time agencies do it. And maybe you
hmm
feel like you don't have any time because of this hard market. Someone on your team has to do it. You just have to
hmm
embrace these systems. They're too important not to.
and because of the rate increases, we have more money than ever to invest time and money into those systems right now. I wouldn't have had the money that I needed to do that 2, 3, 4 years ago. I just really, truly wouldn't. Sorry.
No,
All
no,
right, now, we got a couple more plans here, so I don't want to step on your toes, Kelly.
you need to get a survey out to your team, find out how burned out they are, find out who your problems like. You need to hear their feedback. As an owner, I have blind spots, okay? Like I'm like, why can't you just do it? We have the GSD principle, the get shit done principle, right? And I don't know if I should say that word on your podcast.
You can totally say it and drop them all.
And so sometimes I'm so much in GSD mode that people are like, hold on, we need to back the train up and, hit rewind on this. Get the feedback from your team, but also spend some time. What is your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats? Like, understand the agency. We also have it, look at your carriers. Like, what carriers are strong? Who do you want to serve next year? Because you're going to have some options. We're not going to be in a market any longer where this is the only company that'll take it. You need to analyze that and find out where to place business because your revenue depends on it. Every carrier has different commission splits. I also want, and I think you'll believe this too, look at your tech stack. I can't believe sometimes how many pieces of technology agencies have that are overlapping and not working and people aren't using them and no one's logged in. And I'm like, hey, you have these great things. We might need to rewind and use them because we need to focus on some of those core items. And then we also need to go ahead and look and say, hey, where's the agency today? What is bothering you? Like, I think you're a business owner, right? I wake up every day thinking about things that bother me.
Oh yeah. Sometimes at 2 a.m.
Sometimes I'm running at the gym. Sometimes I'm doing whatever. Sometimes I'm just like, I have to write it down. But those friction points are where you need to address. And I think sometimes we always sweep them under the rugs. We don't want to have the uncomfortable conversation. We're not sure. We're thinking it's going to blow over. Not in 2025. Like, we need to get into the world of just addressing things.
True. You are right about that. Gosh.
So you'll have a whole
2025 is going to be instrumental for everybody, folks. I hope you're listening. This is good stuff right here. This is good stuff. And then for you to put together this thing for us is phenomenal.
Yeah, because I can't sit at a blank piece of paper and be like, what do I want in 2025? Like, I need to be coached and ask questions and get the stuff out of my head and like have the mental floss, right? Of, oh, wow, that is a problem. I didn't realize that by looking at this report now for the whole year, we got some issues.
You're right about that. So you got another step you got here. You got a plan. And then it's a 5-step plan. Am I assuming in this thing, and it guides them through it, helps them. I mean, like you even said, like in the survey, I wrote this down, like survey to staff. That's a good one. And then I was thinking, okay, what the heck are my questions? I assume you kind of help us. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, I know I'm feeding right into this, but once again, I'm an agency owner, right? I mean, I think about this stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So the next step is where you get to dream, right? Like we put aside, like we know what we got, but now I need you to get into dream mode. Like, what do I want? And this is a hard one, Jason, because I can't tell you, Jason, what to want. This has to be something that gets you out of bed every morning in 2025, that forces you to make the difficult decisions, whether it's releasing a team member you know doesn't fit your culture, whether it's making the decision to get onto a different management system, right? Like you have to wake up and say, what do I want personally, professionally? And it can't be feelings. Like people are like, I just want to feel good at the end of the year. I'm like, I felt good in the morning and felt like garbage in the afternoon. So like, great, we'll take that picture at that moment in time and you have been successful, and that's not true. So you have to really think about it. And we encourage agencies to start with, where do you want to be in 10 years? Because in 10 years, you can get rid of all the head trash, the problems of the day, and think, hey, in 10 years, I will be 52 years old. Do I want to be on an airplane every week? Possibly, but I want to control it a little bit more, right? For you, where do you want to be? Do you want to own the boat? Do you want to work 3 days a week? Do you want to have a perpetuation plan in place? You have to start thinking 10 years out, and then you can back your way in 5 and 3 and 2 and 1. And that helps you identify. But I think agencies get stuck in Band-Aid mode a lot. I fix it. I'm a 911 operator. I fix things. And then they don't know who to hire. They don't know what they're trying to achieve. They don't know when they're going to hire. So they keep reactively fixing things in their agency versus strategically running their agency.
I heard somebody say that you will grossly overestimate what you think you can do in a year, but substantially underestimate what you can do in 10 years.
100%.
And I think, you know what I mean? Right. Because who Jason was at 36 versus 46 is like, it's not even 9 days. We're talking different planets.
You know what I mean? That person.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, you knew that person, actually. Yes. Yeah, that was a long time ago. And see, here we are reminiscing.
We knew we'd do it.
Sorry. So anyways, I thought that was great. That was great. And I'm not joking with you. I'm buying this survey because I actually have a team now that I don't have to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give them some of these things that we need to be working
Yeah,
on.
ours is like a fillable workbook that they can just jot their answers into so you can have some insight. But doing it without them isn't going to be a great scenario, right? But your plan then looks at like, what are the things I need to tackle, right? I need to get these reports down pat. We need a better system. We need a producer, right? And you have to look at it because as a lot of agencies that listen to you, like there's agencies that are 80 million in premium and there's some that are at 5 million.
200,000.
Right. And I think you have to realize that like as your agency grows, you can't do it all. And you have to start firing yourself from jobs, whether that's accounting is not your shtick. Okay, great. You need to start outsourcing it so that you can sell more insurance. And people get so jammed up about the money portion of it, right? Well, can I afford it? Well, you know what? If I hate accounting and every Saturday I'm sitting in my office dreading it, like I pay that bookkeeper 1 week at a time. I just need to sell another policy to pay for it. Right. And so you have to do some soul searching here of like the crap you do that you don't like and figure out your way out of it because otherwise your business sucks the life out of you. And I'm sure you've met agency owners that they don't love their life.
That blows my mind. I say it all the time. You don't get paid. We make good money, but you don't get paid enough for it to suck because it can literally suck the life out of you. It can be one of the greatest things that can give you life. But if it's not giving you life, it's taking it. So I'm with you there. And I get sad, Kelly, when I hear somebody say that. I do. I really do because we all go through our seasons of it's like, oh, this is a grind versus, well, this is easy. But to just, this thing has given me so much. And I guarantee you everybody who is unhappy has been given so much from it. They're just unhappy and trying to figure it out. And I say it all the time. I mean, and this is where I'm probably too much for it. But I mean, agencies that are unhappy, when I talk to them, they have very little technology or they have a crap load of technology and they don't utilize it, right? And I'm not saying that technology is the differentiator. It's just getting that mundane work off of their people to free them up so they have more value in their place. They don't walk out the door and go, God, did I get anything accomplished today?
Well, and I've been there where it feels like you can't breathe, right? I have so many clients to serve. I can't stop and train somebody. But it's be as thinking. So, okay, so what is my plan then? My plan is, you know what? I need to work 12 hours a day to get there. Like, because I'm not doing this in 6 months. And you have to advocate for yourself sometimes, not be a victim of it. Right. And even if it's just, hey, I got to find the right person and I'm not ready and I'm just going to throw a bunch of crap at them and the right person's going to swim with me. And that's it. And I don't know. I feel like, you know, you own the place. You're in charge. Like there's no one to blame. Okay. And, you know, whether it's virtual assistants that can help ease the burden, like, you know, and you do this a lot. I tell people the virtual assistant, don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry. You know, like it's your first one. It's not going to be perfect. Even if you spent 6 months planning, you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you just
I'm going to tell you, sometimes when the process breaks and there's a hole and we find it by one of our people messing up, it's usually not the VE.
That's true.
Usually one of the licensed staff, right? Now, to be fair, we've talked about this with them. They're doing more complicated things that sometimes require multiple fallback and stuff. So there's a difference there. But I will tell you, I say it a lot. In job for job, my VEs can run circles around my licensed staff. If it's
we have more people in the Philippines than we do in the U.S., and we will continue to do that.
It's just the way it works.
Well, think about it from my perspective. What do you think it costs to have someone leave their family every week and go to different agencies across the country? These people are not inexpensive. So when agency owners tell me I can't find anybody, do you know what I have to find to grow my company? A freaking unicorn.
Good point.
You know, so I look at them square in the face and I say, that's amazing. And that's the biggest excuse I've ever heard. So let's keep going and let's find out how you're going to find a licensed person in a 50-mile radius of your office.
I know it's amazing. It really truly is amazing. Junior, don't want to get too far off on this, but Junior from Cuba, I've been trying to get them here. They're here now. You wouldn't believe how excited they are to make $17 an hour working at KFC and working at Sam's. And I start to see it. I start to say, hey, the fact that Americans may not want this job is okay. But if we decide that that's what we want to do, we're going to have to get somebody in here that's going to work 15. And you saw it in the agricultural business. You saw it in manufacturing. For all you loyal listeners, you heard me say it before, it's just now happening in the white collar world. The business world now is adopting to the fact that somebody needs to do these jobs and they do them with zest and with zeal, and they're excited, and they do their makeup when they go to work. And I'm
We
just
just
like,
promoted two of them to managers. I've got two managers in the Philippines that run whole departments. They've been with me for 6 years,
man,
and
fantastic.
they've earned it. I mean, like they have complete. We've looked at it like, oh, do I need a marketing manager in the U.S.? I'm like, I don't.
Mhm.
Like I don't. And I also believe, like, going back to the U.S. team, like, you have to pay people pretty well today.
You
And that
do.
could be, base pay. We also believe in heavy performance based pay. So, your rates you have grown through rate increases. They've worked their asses off too.
Hmm. It's a good point.
And I think we have to get out of this zone of, oh, the girls will handle it, or oh, that they're just in the service team. I'm like, they're actually managing millions of dollars of your premium, because we don't have a lot of producer stays. Some agencies do, but by far the service team is the bigger bulk of your team. And when a producer leaves, a lot of times you just make it a house account, right?
Hmm.
And so I always encourage people, like, look at that compensation factor.
You said that at Brain Share 2 years ago. That struck me. The agent leaves, and they usually a she, has to absorb it, and it's with no extra income. But the producer was getting 30 to 50%. That,
Well, and
come
then
on,
we use
loyal
the
listeners,
girls,
listen to
right? Like, oh, yeah, it's the girls. And I have one agency owner. He goes, "I'm sorry, I don't have 8-year-old late, babies sitting in my office. I have licensed women."
me.
So,
Hmm.
you have to be careful not to demoralize your service team too. Like they're not
Oh,
girls. I mean, if I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna hand it to the boys," like that would be so weird. Like they're licensed professionals. The license is the
what happened to the
same.
boys?
The
Yeah, I
license
feel like most of them would take offense. They'd be like, "What are you talking about, boy?"
Yeah, like the license is the same. And I don't even want to get into pronouns now. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't know what to do in some of those situations. So just they're your licensed team that is managing millions of dollars of your premium.
You just made me realize we're in a world where on a podcast we are we'll say openly cuss words, but now we won't say pronouns.
Right. I know.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at right now, Kelly.
I know.
So, anyways, but no, this is great. And then so finishing this up and
Yeah.
wrapping it up. I mean,
So we'll
this
help
one
guide
of the,
you build that vision, right? The questions you need to challenge yourself with. What do you want your life to look like? And give you some space. And there's videos to support that. And there's some samples in there from other agencies we've worked with, so it can get your juices going of what do you want to be when you grow up?
so when can I get there? When can I get this?
So it is available for pre-sale on October 1st. And
Okay.
then it officially will get in hands on the 15th. It'll be fully released. If you order it early, we're giving you our 2025 strategy guide for the hard market free.
Mm.
Um,
Oh,
and our agency intelligence listeners get 20% off. So it's $295. So you'll get 20% off of that with code agency intelligence.
ooh, come on now. That's the best code ever. Okay, this is fantastic. Once again, as she said, it's going to pre-sell October 1st, comes out in people's hands October 15th. Agency Intelligence code gets you 20% off. And you get the hard market strategy guide. Wait, but if you act quick, my producer says.
There's no knives. We don't send knives. So.
Oh, this is great. This is
And
great.
you can't
Kelly,
do 4 easy payments. It's a one time.
yeah. So, you know what, Kelly? I appreciate you coming on here. You're
Well,
going to
thanks
be
for
doing
having
a webinar for the champions, and I appreciate that very much. I'm excited for you for this. You do a very good job. You have other courses that you've created over the year: commercial courses, service courses, renewal courses, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously, they're a success, or you wouldn't keep doing it. So I think that's a testament to the fact that this is good value. So good for you, Kelly.
Well, thanks, Jason, for having us. We appreciate it. If anybody has any questions, they know. I mean, I'm pretty easy to find, I think.
Yeah, I think you are.
Might
Now,
be hard to locate, but I'm easy to find on
good
digital
point.
channels.
That is a good point. And I have to admit, that is true. For as busy as you are, you answer emails really, really fast. Now, I understand
I'm a
probably
zero inboxer. I'm a zero.
sometimes there might be, VEs, I don't know, but
No,
I think to
I do
myself,
all mine
do
my
you use
own.
Superhuman? Do you use Superhuman for inbox? What do you use for inbox
I
zero?
don't. I use Boomerang sometimes to pause my inbox when I need to focus. But I schedule a lot of emails too when I know I need to just like, hey, it just needs to get out on Wednesday. But I just believe that we need to model the service that I believe agencies need to do, and there's nothing worse than when somebody feels forgotten about. So
Mm.
even if I could just respond, say, hey, Jason, I got your email. I'm going to work on this tomorrow. That means the world to people because, and
Mhm.
personally, I hate email, so I wish it never existed, but I have to play in this world.
Right. And Teams is kind of, or Slack is kind
Yeah.
of lessened that a little bit. But then again, now you have two areas,
I
right?
keep
So
it
now
on
you're
Do
not
Not
getting,
Disturb almost all the time because it's like,
I know.
I'm so glad there's cake in the break room, but I'm not. I don't need cake.
Loyal listeners, you may have noticed that I do not release podcasts every Tuesday anymore. And it's not because I'm some big, bad, awesome person. I just really, really, truly have realized that, it's okay to say that as an industry, we kind of got burnt out a little bit on podcasts. And so what I've done is I've waited for certain situations. I don't think I've put one out in probably 3 or 4 weeks. But when Kelly came to me, actually, since I haven't done one since then, by the time this comes out, it'll be about 5 or 6 weeks. But Kelly she came to me with this thought, and I hope loyal listeners, you're really listening to it. You know that you've been making money in ways. Now, maybe you only grow 2 to 3%, but now you realize you've been growing 15%. Let's put the ego aside and realize that carriers have been raising rates. I was telling Kelly, the last 2 years we've been in the high 30% as far as revenue, straight revenue growth. And I told her, but after we had to look at what our new business was, subtracted from where it was, we were anywhere between 15 to 17%, which is about where we normally are, a little bit high, a little bit low, depends on what our goals are that year. And I think that we have to really consider that. I think it's going to go the opposite way. I mean, you really start to think someone has a 10% retention or a 90% retention rate, which we consider good, bad, whoever, indifferent. And then you start to put in rate decreases on top of that. You could really start to see yourself go back. And I don't know if I ever thought it was possible that an agency would see less revenue than when it did, because even if you're
Yeah.
terrible, you usually see some kind of increase.
Well, and let me walk the math because I don't think people do it enough. Like, okay, so a client calls in, they're upset, we remarket them, we drop the premium, and we put them with a carrier with lower commission. You could be taking
Mm,
a 33% pay cut.
mm,
And you spend how many hours on that remarket? And
mm,
so this is where those agency standards come into play. You being the leader, telling the team who gets a remarket, who doesn't. Again, that bottom 10% shouldn't get crap from an agency.
mm. I
I,
love it.
I mean, yes, you have to change a vehicle if you have it, but we don't need to jump. And then what happens is, Jason, they look at an account like mine or maybe yours, and the team's intimidated because I have 26 insurance policies. So they don't want to call me.
Mhm.
But they want to talk to my
Okay.
brother who sometimes has a car, all day long. And we as a leader need to go in and say, guys, this is the game plan for the year, because otherwise people apply their own value system. So lots of service people operate what I call like a deli counter, like now serving 67. This is the next in line. We need them all to be ER nurses. Triage your workload, triage your clients. Set the expectations. Don't do the easy thing first. The hard clients are the ones that are going to be loyal, and you're going to get referrals from them. And those are the people you want to keep happy. The ones that don't pay, the ones that get pissed off about audits, the ones that need certificates because they're at a job site at 7 a.m. and they're driving you nuts, we overserve them and we
Mhm.
underserve our best clients sometimes.
So, and if you're out there, loyal listeners, and you're thinking to yourself like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Kelly feels like she's talking about my agency. Here's the good news. It's most of the agencies. And the
Yeah, we
good
don't
news
bug
is,
you. We don't have like agencies bugged. Like this is
that's right.
this every
And good
day.
news though is, Kelly, the good news is if they change, and most of them won't, this is what gives you the advantage. So as I wrap up
Buy
here,
them. Buy those agencies if they don't change. Like that could
come
be
on,
part
rock
of
and
your
roll,
2025
sister.
plan. Buy an agency. They're going to be for sale next year.
Yep, that's what I've been telling Travis. Next year's the year of acquisition. But here's what I want to close out with saying. Thank you very much, Kelly, for your time. Is that I have to say it's been nominated for 2 years in a row, 2023, definitely 2024. According to Kelly, song of this time has been Comfortably Numb. If you want to know, I thought that was fantastic. And we should just play that at conventions because that's what it
They'll
is.
put everybody to sleep.
Yeah. And then staffing up, I think is, real tell time. I love the survey. I really do. That's something that I'm going to take away. That's my one thing. And I think one of the things of all the things you talk about, 10 years is important. But remember, everybody, 10-1, October 1st. It comes out on pre-order October 15th. You can get it, use Agency Intelligence, and you get 20% off. Kelly Donahue-Piro. I call her KP. I appreciate you very much. You know that I truly do, and we will talk again.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, BB.